Part 13. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Crispone. Chapter 121. Chapter 121, Divorce Plan. Everything went as they planned. Everyone came to the wedding. The entire Kill village and friends from the next village sat at 10 tables in total. Red cloths were hung everywhere, making it look very lively. Women who have been trafficked are not allowed to eat on the table, which just gives young girls an opportunity to justifiably avoid eating drugged meals. After eating and drinking for a while, the villagers fell down on the table one by one, unconscious. When Chen 11 saw that the time was right, he and his two seniors brought the water and dry food prepared in advance and went to the entrance of the village to wait for everyone to gather. At this moment, their faces were filled with joy, and their hearts were full of hope that they would be able to escape. Whether it is a few supporting teachers headed by Lu Fang, a few medical students headed by Chen 11, or other girls who were trafficked here. Their eyes were shining with light, as if they were about to run towards freedom. With one exception. She was the girl who was finally brought back by Wang Chuanzong. She was away from the crowd, her head lowered, and she didn't say a word. She didn't know what she was thinking. More than 10 minutes later, everyone has not arrived yet. Everyone had originally agreed to gather within 10 minutes. In order to escape smoothly, they discarded all the things they had brought with them and packed lightly. But why did it take so long? As time passed by, everyone felt more and more uneasy, and the joy on their faces gradually disappeared. Someone suggested, "Let's go, they are dragging their feet, maybe they don't want to go out at all. If we wait any longer, if someone wakes up, we won't be able to leave." Chen 11 and Lu Fang, as the leaders of the two small groups, looked at each other and made a decisive decision. Walk. A group of people rushed towards the road going down the mountain outside the village. But after walking a few steps, he was surrounded by people. These people were carrying hoes and shovels, and they were obviously people from Yao village who had already been unconscious. The girls were shocked. How could it be? Today's groom walked out of the crowd and stared at Chen 11's senior sister angrily. "Bitch, am I not good enough for you? I will give you whatever you want. You have a wedding, and I will depend on you for everything. Other wives have to work at home, and I am afraid that you will bump into each other. I'm not willing to let you do things. Is this how you treat me?" Soon, other people from Yao village answered the call. "How come these girls in the city are willing to follow you? Stop dreaming. If you want, I still have to teach them a lesson. Bring up those women we captured." Soon, the girls who could not gather were and brought over. They were pushed to the ground, countless fists and kicks were applied to them, and poles and brooms were hit on them desperately. For a while, cries and screams could not be heard. Chen 11 and the others wanted to save people, but they were weak and were eventually arrested again. But they don't understand. Why? I clearly saw you eating the food with my own eyes. Why didn't you do anything? You weren't charmed. At this time, Wang Chuanzong appeared, and he waved to the girl he brought last. "Arjun, come here." The girl named Arkshan walked towards Wang Chuanzong step by step with firm steps, and then snuggled into his arms in front of all the girls, smiling sweetly. She didn't say anything, but this action said everything. She chose to stay, follow Wang Chuanzong, and betrayed her sisters who wanted to escape. Lu Fang cursed angrily. "How can there be people like you in the world? You don't want to leave, and we won't force you, but why do you want to cut off our way?" "Selfish, heartless, and unjust," Arjun sneered and said sarcastically. "If you run away, won't the villagers' money be wasted? What will they do if they cause trouble for spreading the family line? The money to carry on the family line is also my money. I have to keep it for my son to spend, so why should I let you run away?" After saying this, she touched her flat belly. Wang Chuanzong also touched her belly, kissed her in front of everyone, and said with a smile, "If only they were as considerate as you, don't worry, as long as you follow me obediently, all the money Wang Chuanzong, earns will be given to our son. Take good care of the one in your belly. If it's a son, he'll be called Yezu. If it's a girl, he'll be called Panur. Let's have another child." Arjun smiled and nodded, his face flushed, as if he was bathing in love. At this time, the village chief of Yao village stepped forward to deal with the aftermath. "Okay, don't stand around here. Whose family do these women belong to? Bring them back to me. If they are not honest, then find a way to make them honest. As for today's wedding, since it has been held, it must be completed in full. The villagers will continue to eat and drink, but these disobedient people must be locked up first." The crowd swarmed up, grabbed the girls, took them to their respective homes, and locked them up with iron chains. Even Chen 11 and the other three who pretended to be low-key and childlike at first were inevitably beaten and imprisoned. Those people were cruel, and some even broke their legs directly. The girls were dragged away and looked back at Wang Chuanzong and Arkshan standing at the entrance of the village. The two men were brightly dressed, but under their human skins lived black-hearted demons with green faces and fangs that wanted to tear people apart and devour them. A feeling of despair spread in the hearts of the girls. From that time on, the girls could no longer unite. Because they were not sure whether there was someone in their ranks who rebelled and became an accomplice in order to avoid being beaten. What if they are betrayed every time when they are about to succeed? I have to say that Wang Chuanzong used this alienation strategy very beautifully. Girls who cannot unite together are like a piece of loose sand. In the end, they can only waste half their lives in the pig pen of the kill village and become a tool for reproduction. The girls who resisted fiercely were accidentally beaten to death by the buyers. There were also girls who felt that they could not escape and did not want to continue living and suffering, so they committed suicide. Lu Fang and Chen 11 managed to hold on long enough, but they still couldn't find a way to leave. Possible. In the end, no one can survive, they either die or go crazy. Those who are crazy will eventually die. Perhaps they suffered too much pain during their lifetimes, and their resentment persisted after death. They wandered between heaven and earth and became female ghosts entrenched near the kill village. At the beginning, they were very weak and even a little confused. They did not know who they were, where they lived, and why they were here. But as they absorbed more and more grievances, they became stronger and stronger, and gradually recovered their sanity and became what they are now. Among them, Lu Fang is the most powerful. She was the first to regain her sanity and the fastest to absorb resentment. It was with her help that the other sisters achieved their current achievements. Lu Fang finally stared at Wang Panur. "I heard clearly that Wang Chuanzong named his daughter Panur. She is the daughter of Wang Chuanzong and Arkshan. Shouldn't we seek revenge on her?" End of this chapter. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 122. Chapter 122 One-sided words. After recounting the past events, Lu Fang's questioning resounded throughout the hotel room, deafening and enlightening. Audiences in the live broadcast room expressed their opinions. "It's too awful. I feel worthless for these girls, they should have a beautiful life. But he was buried in this mountain. But no matter how miserable they are, they should not attack Wang Panur. She is just a child, she knows nothing, and she should not bear these sins. Who says she is without sin? Her birth was original sin. She has dirty and sinful blood on her body. I support the girls in taking revenge on her. The father's debt must be paid by the son, so why not? You feel sorry for Wang Panur, who will feel sorry for them? What did they do wrong? I still feel that Wang Panur is just a child who doesn't know anything, and she shouldn't be involved in those crimes. The two groups were arguing endlessly, and the popularity of Pei Anzu's live broadcast room skyrocketed again. It happens to be evening at this time, and people after get off work and school have free time. It is a prime time for people's leisure and entertainment. With the forwarding and spreading of the news by everyone in the live broadcast room, this matter became a hot search topic. Pei Anzu didn't have time to look at her phone, so she didn't know that the rising popularity would attract some official people. Prompts came one after another on the screen in the live broadcast room. V from Panjinj police station entered the live broadcast room. Southwest Media Online V enters the live broadcast room. Folk Observation V entered the live broadcast room. V, the highest anti-fraud and anti-trafficking organization department, entered the live broadcast room. V from the Women and Children Protection Association entered the live broadcast room. Accounts with the word V in them seemed to be shining with colorful lights, making the audience in the live broadcast room more cautious when speaking. Through the lens of the mini camera on Pei Anzu's collar, everyone saw the aftermath of the incident. Pei Anzu's eyes swept over the 9 female ghosts one by one, and then recited the King's-In Sutra again to prevent these ghosts from becoming resentful when they recalled the past. After finishing reading, she said, "When the court decides a case, it must also give the defendant a chance to speak. I completely believe that what you said before is true, but no matter how true it is only your one-sided statement. So, we might as well listen to what Wang Pan'er said." Wang Pan'er pursed her lips nervously and felt a warmth coming from the palm of her hand. It was Song Suero giving her strength. She took a deep breath and then spoke tremblingly. "My father's name is not Wang Chuanzong, but Wang Fasai, and my mother's name is not Arkshan, her name is Lu Kuiwa. I have never met the two people you mentioned, and I don't know who they are. Also, I am not from Yao village, I am from Yankan next door to Yao village. As for my name, as far as I know, in the 4 or 5 villages in our mountainous area, among the girls who were not killed at birth but were lucky enough to survive, there were several Zayadai, Pundi, Lady, Wangdi also has several Panur 11er and Nianur. Our names are not names, they are parents' obsession and sustenance for having sons." As soon as the words fell, the whole place was silent. This group of female ghosts risked everything and risked their souls to escape, and chose to seek revenge on a little girl, but in the end they found out that they had recognized the wrong person. All ghosts seemed to be unable to accept this result. Lu Fang looked at Wang Pan'er and shook her head. Impossible. How could it be just a coincidence? Then where did Wang Chuanzong and Arkshan go? No one could answer her. After a long silence, Pei Anzu spoke. "If you want to know where Wang Chuanzong and Akayan have gone, and if you want to find out who your enemy is, just go to Yao village and you will find out." "You want to go to Yao village?" "No," Chen 11 was the first to jump out and object. "At your age, just like me back then, you are the favorite goods of their bunch of trash. If you go in, you can't get out." Pei Anzu slowly shook his head and explained. "It's not like it was more than 10 years ago, and Yao village is no longer a completely secluded existence. They won't do anything to me. What's more, your bones are still there. I have to go and bring you all out, otherwise you will always wander in that resentful place and never be freed. After all, not everyone is Wang Pan'er. She can bring you out, but others can't." These female ghosts were once talented college students with smart minds. They immediately recognized another meaning in Pei Anzu's words. "You mean we can come out thanks to Wang Pan'er?" Pei Anzu nodded and gave these female ghosts and the audience in the live broadcast room some science on the causes and consequences of all this. In isolated mountainous areas, the preference for boys over girls is very serious. People here believe that only sons can carry on the family line. In their eyes, daughters are just money-losing goods. If they can be raised and exchanged for betrothal gifts or wives, they may be of some value. Other than that, basically everyone is destined to die as soon as they are born. Over the years, countless baby girls have been buried and many murders have been committed in the villages centered on Yao village. Babies are the purest and most innocent souls. They die in ignorance and do not understand anything, nor do they know what resentment or hatred is. But the villagers committed suicide and killed the locally born baby girls. Later, because their sons could not find a wife, they abducted women from outside to give birth to their sons. The girls who were trafficked eventually died here, with strong unwillingness and resentment. This resentment eventually infected the infant spirit, the purest soul, instantly transformed into the soul with the deepest resentment, eroding the land day by day. As time went by, this land turned into a strange and evil place. The lives of the humans living here, as well as the animals and plants living here, will be eroded and disintegrated by this vicious land. In short, they will not live long. The corpses of these female ghosts were buried there. Under the shroud of evil aura, they were gradually assimilated and became a member of this evil place. They can't get out, and they can't be reincarnated. They can only wake up and suffer day after day. Until half a year ago, Wang Painter went back to marry her cousin. The gods were not kind, a heavy rain washed away the mountains, and the mudslide slanted down, allowing several bones buried in the wilderness to be seen again, and at the same time, it also opened a gap in this dangerous place. The trapped female ghosts were able to return to the world, but they still could not leave the village. But Wang Panner appeared. She was born at a special time. Although she is not a pure yin zodiac with the four pillars of yin year, yin month, yin hour, and yin day, she is a half yin body with yin day, yin hour, and yin hour, so she is easily haunted by ghosts, and the yin on her body chi can give certain blessings to ghosts. Because of this, the female ghosts can come out of the mountains by following her. But the female ghosts cannot stay outside for too long. They must go back within 7 days at most, otherwise they will be in extreme pain and become weak day by day. This is also the reason why different female ghosts always appear around Wang Panner. There are a large number of female ghosts, so they have arranged a shift for themselves and come in batches, which can ensure that Wang Panner is always surrounded by ghosts. No one expected that the truth turned out to be this. Wang Panner is not the daughter of their enemy, but a benefactor who helps them see the light of day again. Even because of Wang Panner, they met Pei Anzu, a Taoist man who could help them find Shenyu and Zhaoxiu. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Real Daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 123. Pei Anzu removed the talismans from the female ghosts, released their imprisonment, and said, "Go back to where you came from. When you go back, gather all your sisters who died with hatred and tell them the truth of the matter. In addition, if you encounter other sane ghosts in the mountains, you can temporarily accommodate them until I come to help you redeem them." Lu Fang and Chen 11 looked at each other and bowed to Pei Anzu in unison. "Taoist Master, thank you for helping us," Chen 11 finally reminded. "If you really want to go to Yao village, please be sure to pay attention to safety." Pei Anzu nodded, and then waved. A burst of light flashed, and the female ghosts in the room disappeared instantly, and the yin energy that seemed to penetrate into the human bones also dissipated immediately. The temperature gradually climbed and was no longer bone-chilling. Wang Painter saw that all the female ghosts around him had left, and she slumped on the sofa as if she was surviving a disaster. Thank you, Kingzu Immortal Lord. You're welcome. Thank classmate Song. She invited me here." Pei Anzu smiled. Wang Panner hugged Song Suero with tears in her eyes and kept thanking her. "Suero, thank you is too pale a word, but I really don't know what else to say to express my gratitude. Your family has helped me so much that I may not even be able to repay it in my lifetime, but I will always remember this kindness and I will repay you in the future." Song Suero also cried. She patted Wang Peiner's back and comforted her. Don't worry about the future, just concentrate on preparing for the college entrance examination you have worked hard for so many years, and you can't let it fall to pieces just because of this matter. Pei Anzu looked at the two girls with a faint smile in his eyes. Even though there are heinous crimes and evil deeds in this world, there are also good intentions and pure hearts in this world. Wang Pan'er was lucky to meet the Song family. The Song family helped Wang Pan'er, indirectly uncovering the past events of Yao village, and making the truth and crimes known to the world, which can be regarded as a meritorious deed. One drink, one peck, has its own destiny, the cycle of cause and effect, giving and receiving. After the two girls calmed down, Pei Anzu said again. I'm going to Yao village to find out the truth about the past, find Wang Chuanzong and Akayan, and seek justice for the girls who died in vain. But I am a stranger, and it would be too conspicuous to enter the village rashly, so I need Pan'er to help me. Wang Pei'ner wiped her tears and nodded immediately. No problem, I'll take you there. Our Yan village is separated from Yao village by a mountain, which is not too far. There is a direct mountain road in the middle. Although it is not easy to walk, it is better than being hidden. I want to go too, Song Suero said immediately. Don't go. You have never lived in the mountains and will not adapt to the environment there. We will have to take care of you when the time comes. Pei Anzu refused, just wait for us to come back at school. Song Suero also knew that she was the one holding him back, so she could only nod helplessly. The night is already dark. Pei Anzu gave up the hotel room to the two girls, and she went out to get another room. At this time, she received a text message. After reading the text message, Pei Anzu took out the Nyogod mask from his bag and put it on again, pointed the front camera of his phone at himself, and said, "Hi, viewers in the live broadcast room, good evening to everyone. There will probably be nothing else going on tonight, so this live broadcast ends here. I will go to Yao village early tomorrow morning, but there will be no more live broadcasts. I think there should be an official announcement online about the follow-up detailed report released. Everyone, see you next time." After saying this, Pei Anzu exited the live broadcast room, took off his mask, clicked on the text message again, and dialed a number in it. The text message was sent by Panchinj police, and the content was to invite her to cooperate. Over the years, Longguo has been carrying out operations to prevent and combat the trafficking of women and children. Although many achievements have been made, there are still many fish that have slipped through the net. Now in Pei Anzu's live broadcast room, such a big case was exposed, which naturally attracted the attention of various relevant official departments. To solve this case, Pei Anzu alone is not enough. In fact, since Pei Anzu's first live broadcast, which helped the police solve an academic fraud case and catch a wanted criminal who has been on the run for many years, her live broadcast room has been under the official radar. The country definitely needs to monitor and control a capable person like her. If her behavior was not out of line and her goal was to fight criminals and catch ghosts and exorcise evil spirits, the country would naturally not say much. The fear is that she will use her abilities to break the law and commit crimes and disrupt society. However, based on the country's long-term observation, they determined that Pei Anzu is not a restless character. She is a person who is willing to abide by social order. She has been advocating doing more good deeds and accumulating merit in the live broadcast room. She has also advised many viewers not to be angry and not to listen to online rumors and follow what others say. Since she has shown goodwill towards the country and society, the country is also willing to facilitate her. The trafficking case in Yao village is a signal sent by the state to her. The phone was connected, and a slightly familiar voice came from the other side. Pei Anzu had a good memory and quickly found the source of the voice from the people he had contacted in the past. "Officer Du. It's me. I didn't expect Kingzu Immortal Lord to still remember." The other party smiled and greeted. This police officer Du was a member of the police who had had contact with Pei Anzu. The incident can be traced back to her first live broadcast, when she saw through the face of a wanted criminal and chose to call the police. At that time, based on her reminder, Officer Du caught the serial murderer CAO and later gave her a large bonus. "Isn't Officer Du from Yunchinj police station?" Pei Anzu was a little curious. "What? Now he has been transferred to Panchinj." Yunchinj is a prosperous metropolis where wealthy families gather, while Panchinj is just a small place on the southwest border. If he is really transferred, then Officer Du can be regarded as demoted. Officer Du smiled and explained. "That's not true. This is a special situation. I was seconded here. I will return to Yunchinj after I finish the case of trafficking in Yao village. The superiors know that I have dealt with Kingzu Immortal Lord before, and they think it would be easier for both parties to talk to each other if they sent me to cooperate, so I can be regarded as the temporary person in charge of this case. Kingzu Immortal Lord, I wonder if you are free now, can we meet? Although we know that you are a talented and brave person and would not be afraid even if you were alone in a wolf's den, but as the police, we must also protect the people, and we will not let you take risks alone. In other words, when going to Yao village, the police must also make good arrangements." Pei Anzu is a member of Taoism. He takes exorcism and evil as his own duty. He has no personal heroism and no idea of being in the limelight. She feels happy and relaxed when someone is willing to help her. If it weren't for the fact that there were a group of ghosts near the Yao village who needed to be saved, she could have handed this kidnapping case directly to the police. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Crisp Bone. Chapter 124. Chapter 124, Heading to Yao village. Taking advantage of the darkness, Pei Anzu met with Officer Du. The two met in the corner of the lobby downstairs of the hotel. The meeting lasted no more than 20 minutes. Officer Du briefly explained the police's deployment and said that he would cooperate with Pei Anzu at any time. The live broadcast room was closed and the police could not observe Pei Anzu's movements from the live broadcast room, so Officer Du sent her a miniature camera. The terminal is connected to police equipment, which can ensure that the police understand the situation in Yao village at any time. Pei Anzu did not refuse and accepted the device. Early the next morning, Pei Anzu met with Song Suero and Wang Pan'er. The three of them had breakfast together, and then left the county town and headed for the mountains. Song Suero took the initiative to donate her family's car to provide convenience for Pei Anzu. Pei Anzu drove the car, carrying Wang Pan'er, and drove the car all the way until the road behind was all mountainous, then he stopped. Wang Pan'er said slightly sadly. "There is no big road ahead, it's all rugged mountain roads. There are fixed times for entry and exit in our village. Every 2 days someone will come out with an ox cart, which can barely carry people. But today is not the time for people in the village to come out, so we can only walk up." Pei Anzu nodded, "Then let's go." The two of them walked up the mountain together. The road was winding, but it was not particularly narrow. At least it could accommodate an ox cart. But even so, it was still difficult to walk. The rocks are bulging and covered with moss. When you step on them, there is no moment when they are flat. Wang Pan'er led the way and introduced the situation in the mountains to Pei Anzu as he walked. The 100,000 mountains in the southwest are very wide in scope. Many places are covered with dense forests and are impossible to set foot on. There are countless secluded villages hidden in these undulating mountains. Our Yankan and Yakan are relatively close, and there are several other villages nearby, but to say they are close, in fact, there must be at least one mountain between each two villages. I heard from the elders that there was no communication between villages a long time ago because people did not dare to explore what was on the other side of the mountain. Later, someone encountered someone hunting in the mountain, so the map was expanded, and slowly there were intersections. Later, there were exchanges between villages, and they gradually intermarried, and the connections became closer. However, before this time, I didn't know that there was abduction and trafficking in Yao village, because we don't have it in Yan village. It is said that the order was given by the former village chief of Yan village. He did not let the villagers drown the girls, saying that they were kept. When I grow up, I go to the next few villages to exchange marriages. Because of this, several girls in our village have a chance to survive. Wang Painter said these words not to excuse Yankan. Some people may think that Yakan and Yankan are both in similar geographical locations. Yakan is a den of individual traffickers. How can Yankan be immune? But even if the geographical location is the same and the environment is similar, everyone has different ideas. Yankan and Yakan are said to be close to each other, but after all, they are separated by dozens of kilometers of mountain roads, and there are no telephones or internet connections between them. In fact, the connection is not close. Just like Yao village wanted to kill all the baby girls, but the head of Yan village chose to raise the baby girls. Although the purpose of raising the baby girls was to exchange relatives and carry on the family line, at least they did not commit murder. Pei Anzu listened to Wang Pan'er talk about some things in the village. In this girl's more than 10 years of life, she actually didn't have much knowledge, and what she saw and heard was very limited. But Wang Pan'er's eloquence is very good. After all, she went out to study. She tells the little things in the village, even the friction between neighbors, in a very interesting way. This journey was not boring at all. The two of them walked and rested all the way, stopping and going. It took them more than 4 hours before they could barely see the outline of Iwamura. At this time, Pei Anzu told Wang Painter, "From now on, my identity is that of a philanthropist from the city. I want to select a few talented children in your village to support them, just like the Song family supports you. So, don't call me Kingzu Immortal Lord, just call me Sister Pei." With the example of the Song family sponsoring Wang Pan'er, other people in the village must not have any suspicion, which will facilitate Pei Anzu's actions. End of this chapter. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 125. Pei Anzu's arrival was welcomed by all the people in Yankan. After all, Wang Painter received financial support from kind-hearted people outside. Not only could she go to school, but she also received scholarships every year to support her family. Over the years, the life of Wang Fasai and his family has been many times better than that of other people. So, when Pei Anzu said that he would select a few children in the village to sponsor, every household was very happy and hoped that their children would be selected. But Pei Anzu said that only girls would be selected. If you don't have a daughter at home, you can also go to several nearby villages and ask relatives and friends. Anyone who has a baby girl can name them and let her choose one by one. Those families who did not have daughters at home sighed for a while and secretly regretted why they had not given birth to more girls. There were also many people who had already made up their minds. Privately, one can even hear the wives of several families murmuring, "Are girls so popular now? Only girls are selected for financial support for studying." That's what the beautiful girl said. Wasn't it the same for Pan'er from Wang Fukei's family a few years ago? They said it was a financial aid, but they didn't give money or things, but they paid tuition for several years, and they just asked Pan'er to study. Tisk, according to me, what's the use of reading so many books for a girl? In the end, she's not going to get married. It's better to give her place to my Jinbeo. You should stop saying a few words. The philanthropist from the city is just a girl. If you say that girls' studies are useless, if others hear it, they won't give you a good look. Since Pei Anzu inhaled a large amount of spiritual energy on Fengjia mountain that day and returned to the path of cultivating immortality, he has regained the consciousness and 5 senses he had in the cultivation continent. She could hear the voices in the whole village if she wanted to. She also heard the conversation of these women together, and was delighted to see it. If what she does can make people in the mountains realize that girls also have a very important status, then maybe the situation of girls in this place can gradually be changed. She knows that certain ideas are deeply ingrained and cannot be changed easily. Breaking the prejudice that favors boys over girls cannot be achieved overnight. Then all she can do is accumulate steps to make 1,000 miles, and small streams to make a river. At night, a slightly slender, stooped figure left Yankin, flashlight, and wandered toward the back mountain. There is a road there, which leads to Yao village. Early the next morning, there were a few strangers in the village, who came from Yao village. As soon as they arrived, they clamored to see Pei Anzu. "Where is the kind person from the city? We want to see her. Didn't he say that he would help the girls study? There are many girls in our village." After hearing this, the people in Yankin couldn't help but say, "The Good Samaritan was brought back by Panur from our village. Of course he has to be chosen from our Yan village. What does it have to do with your Yao village? Why are you here to join in the fun? Besides, who doesn't know the virtues of your Kil village? Can your village have girls of the right age? Aren't you all?" At this point, there was suddenly silence because the man saw Pei Anzu coming. Although other villages don't know very well about the Yao village, they know it to some extent. The female babies in the Yao village were killed as soon as they were born. But they dare not let the people in the city know about these things. What happened? Pei Anzu looked at everyone and asked. Her eyes fell on the unfamiliar faces. Just one glance made her frown involuntarily. These people all carried a lot of human life, their bodies were full of blood evil energy, and they were burdened with dark lines of cause and effect. Wang Panur knew that Pei Anzu's trip was just for Yao village, so he would never miss this opportunity. So she explained what had just happened and handed Pei Anzu the steps. "Sister Pei, are you going to Yao village to select sponsors?" Pei Anzu glanced at her, thought for a moment, and then nodded. "I came here this time to select more children and take them out to study, so whether it's Yan village or Yao village, as long as there are girls of the right age, I will take a look myself." "Well, Panur, do me a favor." "Sister Pei, you said, as long as I can do it, I will do my best," Wang Panur said. "I'll leave the selection task of Yankin to you. When I come back from Yankin, I will take you to leave together," Pei Anzu said. "Can you do it?" "Yes, I can," Wang Panur nodded decisively. Pei Anzu took Wang Panur aside, told her a few words alone, and then left with the people in Yao village. Wang Panur looked at Pei Anzu's leaving figure and was soon surrounded by fellow villagers from Yankin. After all, she now has the power to choose. On the rugged mountain road, a group of 4 people were walking in formation. This time 3 people came to Yao village, all young adults in their 20s and 30s. One led the way, and the other 2 followed Pei Anzu. The euphemistic name is protection, but it actually blocks Pei Anzu's way forward and backward. The man at the beginning is named Wang Jizong, who is currently a relatively fluent person in the village. He exchanged greetings with Pei Anzu. "The road is not easy to walk. You people in the city have never been through such a difficult mountain road. You should be more careful." Pei Anzu deliberately walked crookedly, pretending that he was a weak woman with no strength to restrain the chicken, and lowering the other party's vigilance. Sure enough, when he turned his head inadvertently, he saw the 2 men behind him, with and contempt flashing in their eyes. Pei Anzu suppressed the unhappiness in his heart and said with a little embarrassment, "I made you all laugh. Thanks to you for taking care of me all the way, otherwise, I don't know what I would have done." "You're welcome, Sister," Wang Jizong said. Pei Anzu glanced at him and raised the topic. "Speaking of which, I am a little curious, Brother Wang, when you speak, it seems that your local accent is not too strong. When I was in Yankin before, I couldn't understand what the villagers were saying, and I had to have Panur convey it to me, so that I could understand what they were talking about. Brother Wang, your Kil village is very close to the outside world. If you say you don't understand, that's a lie. For practitioners, Learning is never step by step, starting from learning pinyin and recognizing characters. Instead, there are ready-made jade slips of enlightenment that can be directly pasted on the forehead to read. This method is called initiation. People with high levels of understanding can quickly comprehend the contents on the jade slips after initiation, while those with low levels of understanding will need to spend more time pondering. A genius like Pei Anzu has a broad spiritual consciousness and a clear mind. She can quickly understand what others say, and there is no problem that she cannot understand. To say this now is just a wrong message to Wang Zhizong and others. She is just a weak, ordinary city dweller who doesn't understand the language and can be manipulated and controlled. After hearing what she said, Wang Zhizong's expression became more joyful and he said, I used to have an older brother. He was very good. He was the only capable person in our village who left the village. He stayed outside for a long time and learned the Mandarin spoken outside. He taught it to me after he came back. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 126. After hearing this, Pei Anzu felt something in his heart. Wang Zhizong, Wang Chuanzong. How could it be that they have such similar names and are both from Yao village? What's more, in this traffic-constrained place, most people are unwilling to go out, and there are probably not many people who will stay outside for a long time. Taken together with this information, we can almost judge that the brother mentioned by Wang Zhizong should be Wang Chuanzong mentioned by the female ghosts. Thinking of this, Pei Anzu thought that she could follow the clues and inquire about Wang Chuanzong's whereabouts, so she pretended to be very interested and said, Then your brother is so awesome. Is he the legendary college student who walked out of the mountains? Although his family conditions are slightly difficult, he worked hard and studied hard just to change his destiny. So it seems that he should be a role model for your family, right? Pei Anzu's tone was full of admiration, like a little girl who was inexperienced in the world. Wang Zhizong did not have any doubts about her. Because in his opinion, these young girls in the city are all equally stupid and easy to deceive. They believe that the people in the mountains are simple and honest, so they are never wary of them. After all, whether it was Lu Fang or Chen 11, every one of those female college students was deceived into the village in this way, wasn't it? And the rich man in front of me who is doing charity is no exception. Wang Zhizong had some concerns in his mind. He had no idea that Pei Anzu deliberately said those words of praise for his brother. Pei Anzu knows how to read faces. She could tell from Wang Zhizong's face that in addition to being burdened with the debt of human life, he was also narrow-minded, prone to jealousy, and did not want others to live better than him. The more Pei Anzu praised Wang Chuanzong in front of him, the more unhappy Wang Zhizong became. Sure enough, a flash of disdain flashed across Wang Zhizong's face, and he pretended not to care and explained. You're a college student. You're wrong. How can my brother have such a good mind? He was sent out to work by my parents because he couldn't study. Well, I was born a few years later, otherwise I would have been the one who was sent out, and I would have been the one who made a lot of money doing business, lived in a big house, and drove a big car. There is nothing wrong with this. If Pei Anzu hadn't already known who Wang Chuanzong was from the female ghost's mouth, I'm afraid after hearing this, he would have misunderstood that Wang Chuanzong got an opportunity and made a fortune while working outside. Pei Anzu still pretended not to understand anything and only consoled Wang Zhizong. Brothers, no matter who gets rich, it's the same after your brother became rich, he must have helped you a lot, right? By the way, why didn't he take you out to live? He has connections outside and can introduce you to a job casually, which would be better than you staying in the mountains. Mentioning this matter hit a painful point in Wang Zhizong's heart, and the dissatisfaction on his face almost overflowed. Humph. Help. He wants to have no contact with us at all. He even gave up the surname of Lao Wang's family, changed his name, and even forgot about it. Bah, white-eyed wolf. Just when Wang Zhizong was speaking with anger, he was suddenly interrupted. Zhizong, stop talking, we are a family after all. The person who spoke was the man behind Pei Anzu. At that time, he introduced himself as Wang Ping. It seems that Wang Ping is quite calm-minded. He is afraid that Wang Zhizong will reveal Wang Chuanzong's information to outsiders, so he quickly stops him. But it doesn't matter, Pei Anzu has already got the information he thought of. Wang Chuanzong changed his name and surname and has settled abroad. People in Yao village probably don't know where he is. Even Wang Zhizong, his younger brother, has no contact with him. That's why he is so angry and hates his brother. He doesn't know how to promote himself when he is prosperous. No one spoke again for the rest of the journey. No matter what Pei Anzu said, Wang Zhizong always spoke to him in a considerate manner. He probably knew that he had just spilled the beans and didn't want to cause any more trouble. Pei Anzu straightened her clothes and wore a brooch on it, which was the miniature camera given to her by Officer Du. Place it where she usually puts the mini camera. All the images along the way were transmitted to Officer Du through this camera. There is no internet in the mountains, so such wireless cloud transmission was originally impossible, but Officer Du organized his manpower and deployed signal receivers in the mountains overnight. The people from the police station have already called out the household registration system and started looking for Wang Chuanzong's whereabouts. The road is long and difficult to walk, but eventually you will reach your destination. Pei Anzu set out from Yankan in the early morning and it took more than 6 hours to cross the mountains and reach Yankan. This, sinful place. She raised her head and looked at the dark sky, which was so sinister that it looked like ink. But these executioners, whose hands were stained with blood, were unaware of it. Folks, I have brought back some kind-hearted people from the city who are doing charity work, Wang Zhizong shouted while standing at the entrance of the village. The next second, a large group of people appeared in the village, blocking the originally empty place tightly. In their hands, these people held hoes, shovels, rakes, and sickles. This posture does not look like welcoming guests. Pei Anzu's eyes darkened, and she thought of Chen 11. In the story of the girl, it was the same scene. The moment she was deceived into the kill village, she fell into the circle of these people and could never get out. 17 or 8 years later, reincarnation has changed, and the original people seem to have changed. Only evil is eternal. Pei Anzu looked at the scene in front of him and pretended to be panicked. What are you doing? Miss Pei, don't even think about leaving once you're here. The mountains and rivers here are beautiful and the scenery is pleasant. Why not settle in our village? Wang Zhizong said with a smile. How about finding a man here to continue the family line? What do you mean? I'm just here to select a few children, take them out to sponsor, and leave after I've selected them, Pei Anzu said. Subsidy? How about you look at it? How about subsidizing our village? Wang Zhizong said again. What can a few children do? Why don't you subsidize our village? We are all poor, and we like kind-hearted people like you. Pei Anzu's face gradually changed. She seemed to have just realized what she was doing and asked angrily. You lied to me? You never wanted to let me go from the beginning. That's right, Wang Zhizong nodded. This is illegal, Pei Anzu shouted angrily. You are illegally imprisoned and you will go to jail. Ha 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 ha, the villagers laughed after hearing this. Wang Ping showed a ferocious face at this time. No one cares about our remote country, and the police will not come. No one reports the case. Who can arrest us? Woolen cloth. The people in Yankan will call the police for me, Pei Anzu vowed. The students I brought are still there. If she can't wait for me, she will definitely bring someone to find me. Wang Zhizong shook his head and laughed at her naivete. We have plenty of hiding places here. As long as we hide you, No one will find you. When the people in Yankan ask, we will tell you that you have selected a few good seedlings and went down the mountain from another way. The other way, which is the passage where Wang Chuanzong abducted and trafficked girls, can also be left. It seems that these people have thought about everything. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Crisp Bone. Chapter 127. In the evening in the mountains, the breeze is gentle and very cool. The rolling hills are endless and majestic. The trees on the mountains are lush and green. Around the small village, there are vast fields of farmland. Chickens and dogs hear each other, and the occasional chirping of insects and birds shows the vitality of nature. It is obviously a beautiful scenery in the mountains and countryside. But in front of Pei Anzu, there were dozens of demons standing in front of them. They were dressed in human skins, had ugly hearts, and opened their mouths, as if they came from hell. Pei Anzu suddenly laughed. She was pretty, and her smile was even more stunning, which made many men in the village bewildered. "Why are you laughing?" Wang Ping asked with a frown. Pei Anzu did not answer, just looked at Wang Zhizong and said sarcastically, "You are very skilled at forcing girls into prostitution. You have done this kind of thing a lot over the years, right?" He is indeed Wang Chuanzong's younger brother. Could it be that after he left the village, you inherited his mantle? As soon as the name Wang Chuanzong came out, the faces of the whole village suddenly changed. "How do you know Wang Chuanzong?" Wang Ping asked. "You have known for a long time that he is Wang Chuanzong's younger brother. Are you here specifically for us?" A few words aroused the anger of everyone in the village. Wang Zhizong was also stunned. He stared at Pei Anzu. "How do you know my brother's name? You look like you are only in your 20s, and my brother changed his name and left here 15 years ago. There is no way you know him." Pei Anzu dictated his words and listed the timeline in his mind. Wang Pan'er is now 17 years old. When Lu Fang and Chen 11 died, Wang Pan'er was not yet born, so she must have died at least 18 years ago. Wang Chuanzong left here 15 years ago. In other words, Wang Chuanzong left a few years after Chen 11 and others died. Perhaps at that time, he already knew that the money that should be earned in the village had been made, and there was no need to stay, so he chose to leave. Pei Anzu looked calm and said with a sneer, "Don't worry about how I know it. I just want to ask you, aren't you afraid of retribution for killing people for so many years?" Wang Ping relaxed after hearing this. "Who do I think you are? It turns out that you are also a fool who wants to draw a sword to help when the road is rough. You really don't know whether to live or die. If there is retribution in this world, it should have come long ago. Wang Chuanzong brought so many women into the village, and retribution should be retribution on him. How could he allow his family to be so rich? I advise you not to waste any words. This is the custom in our village. No young woman who comes in can walk out, and you are no exception." As Wang Ping finished speaking, everyone in the village looked at Pei Anzu with malicious eyes. That sticky gaze seemed to be peeling her body apart, leaving her with nowhere to hide. Nausea, wanting to vomit. Pei Anzu closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and then said, "You'd better let me go now and follow me down the mountain to surrender, otherwise you will regret it." Wang Zhizong told everyone. "Don't listen to her. She knows my brother's name and said that I inherited my brother's mantle. She must be an insider of those things back then. We can't let her go. Since she has the guts to come to Yao village to investigate alone, she must be prepared to die here." The villagers agreed with Wang Ping and Wang Zhizong's opinions. Under their command, the villagers surrounded Pei Anzu and then drove her into a dirty pigsty. They are familiar with the road. I don't know how many times they have done it. "Tie up." With the order given, someone quickly brought hemp rope and tied Pei Anzu's whole body tightly. "Just stay here. Don't think about escaping. Everyone in the village will be watching you," Wang Zhizong said, pointing to a few dogs nearby, "Did you see that? If you dare to leave, if you take one step forward, they will chew you to the bone." Pei Anzu looked at the pig pen, found a slightly cleaner spot, sat down and practiced. She has to wait until night. Since the people of Yao village have completely revealed their true colors and broken their faces, there is no need to be polite anymore. At night when the yin energy is strong, it is also a good time to let those female ghosts out to avenge any grievances. The people in Yao village kidnapped Pei Anzu and decided that she could not escape like the previous women, so they did not take care of her anymore. Instead, they gathered together for a meeting to discuss the follow-up matters. The meeting was organized by the village chief. He said, "The girl who came today is young and beautiful, and looks to be in good health. She looks like she is going to give birth to a son. There is no son in the village who can inherit the incense. There are still 6 families in total. I make the decision. She will be divided among your 6 families. Whoever's family has more money will be in line first. After she has given birth to another child, she will go to the next family to give birth. This money doesn't belong to me either. You should be conscious and give it to Jizong and the others." Since Chuanzong left, if Jizong hadn't taken over his brother's job, you wouldn't have been able to marry such a beautiful daughter-in-law for so many years. Chuanzong is determined not to associate with us, but Jizong is a good person. He is willing to stay in the village and contribute to the village. We cannot let him down. Now, Jizong's son is already over 10 years old. In the future, your son will have to marry a wife, and you will have to rely on Jizong's son to continue doing this job, so this money cannot be less. After hearing what the village chief said, everyone did not object, but nodded in agreement. Especially those families who had married a daughter-in-law a few years ago, felt that this should be done. After all, they also paid Wang Jizong, and other people in the village were no exception. Wang Jizong followed Wang Chuanzong and learned Mandarin outside. Over the years, he also followed his brother's example and deceived women in the village. The people in the village were very grateful to him. So, there is nothing to say about giving him money. The problem now is, Pei Anzu is not only a woman, she is also very rich. Wang Ping said. The girl in the pig pen is here to help the children study. People in Tinjian village said she plans to help many children. It seems that she is very rich. If we can get money from her, we can buy a wife and we will have plenty of money. At that time, our lives will be better, and maybe we can go out and live in a big house like the ancestral family. As soon as other people heard that Pei Anzu was rich, their eyes immediately became hot, and they wished they could rush over and take Pei Anzu's money for themselves. At this time, someone suggested, "Why don't you give me a beating?" In the past, few women could withstand a beating. No matter how hard the bones are, they will loosen after a few beatings. By then, it won't be up to us to say whatever we say. What a good idea. This idea was approved by many people. There are not that many tough people in the world, especially women. A few beatings are definitely enough. The village chief listened to everyone's discussion. After it was over, he waved his hand and decided directly. Let's lock her up and starve her for a few days. Maybe she will give in? We won't need to do anything then, so as not to break her and affect the birth of a son. If she's really stubborn, it's not too late to hit her. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Crisp Bone. Chapter 128. It was getting dark. There are no evening entertainment activities in the mountain villages, the internet is not widely available, and smartphones and computers are not essential for every family. So, when the sun sets in the west and the moon rises above the high buildings, every household returns to their home. Not long after, there were sounds of snoring one after another. It seemed that these people had fallen into a deep sleep, which made Pei Anzu couldn't help but sarcastically said. The victims were left in the wilderness with their souls helpless, but these harmful beasts slept peacefully. How ridiculous! Pei Anzu saw that the time was almost up, so he broke free from his restraints. These ordinary ropes cannot trap her at all. After getting out of trouble, she formed seals and seals with her hands, mobilized the spiritual energy stored in her body, and drew a talisman in mid-air. However, he saw the light of the talisman flash past, and then a circle of light appeared, with Yao village as the center, spreading in all directions. The next second, the whole mountain was filled with gloomy wind. The huge yin qi was carried by the strong wind and roared in, as if it was the response given to her by the female ghosts who died in the wilderness. Seeing this, Pei Anzu smiled slowly. The figures of female ghosts appeared in front of her, led by Lu Fang and Chen 11. Behind them, in addition to the female ghosts Wang Painter had seen, there were many other lonely ghosts. Taken together, the number is 40 or 50. King Zhu, immortal lord, was it you who summoned us? Lu Fang asked. She looked at the scene in front of her. Pei Anzu stood in the pig pen with coils of hemp rope under his feet. He knew what had happened almost immediately. Unexpectedly, more than 10 years have passed and the people in Yao village are still so heartless and regard human life as nothing. For a moment, she was so angry that she almost went crazy again. Pei Anzu looked at them and nodded. I know that you have ended up with hatred and the resentment in your heart has been going on for many years. Tonight, I allow you to take revenge and complain. But remember, don't kill anyone. In short, as long as you can't kill him, anything will work. When the female ghosts heard this, their faces suddenly showed joy. They thanked Pei Anzu immediately, then turned into a stream of light and floated towards the kill village. They were all abducted and deceived into this village, and each of them had their own buyer. As the saying goes, every wrongdoer has his own owner, and they are looking for the very person who bought them and inflicted atrocities on them. Female ghosts all have different abilities. The stronger ones can directly enter dreams, the weaker ones can create hallucinations. Even the weakest female ghost found a way to wake those people up, and then appeared in front of them bloody, scaring them half to death. For a time, there were screams everywhere in the village. This kind of torture lasted all night, until the sky turned white, and the female ghosts left reluctantly. However, the scum who had been tortured no longer had any sleepiness. They didn't know that the female ghost had left. They were afraid that the female ghost would kill them if they stayed in the house, so they quickly fled their houses. Many people soon gathered in the open space in the middle of the village. Their faces were pale and bloodless, except for the dark blue under their eyes. Some of the brave ones held weapons in their hands and looked around vigilantly, fearing that the female ghost would emerge from some corner, while those who were timid were already trembling with fear and huddled on the ground unable to stand up. Wang Zhizong and Wang Ping looked at each other and saw the same message in each other's eyes. It seems like you didn't sleep well last night, Wang Ping said quietly. I dreamed of that and asked me to pay for it with my life, Wang Zhizong said with a fierce face. Bullshit, I'm not afraid of her even when she's alive, and I'm even less afraid of her when she's dead. The conversation between Wang Zhizong and Wang Ping was heard by many people. Everyone was restless for a while and talked about it. I dreamed about it too. That stinky woman was wearing tattered clothes, with long hair and jet black nails, and she was scratching at my neck. I didn't dream about it, but I woke up last night because I had to urinate. When I got up to go to the bathroom, I saw a man standing next to my bed, rolling his eyes. It's them. They turned into ghosts to take revenge. They want to kill me. They want me to die badly. What should we do? In so many years, when has our village encountered such evil things? Why don't we find a Taoist priest to collect them all? It must have something to do with that girl yesterday. She knows the name of Chuanzong and what happened more than 10 years ago. Baobuki only knew it from the mouths of those female ghosts. Let's go find her. If you dare to act like a ghost in Yao village, you must teach her a lesson. As they talked, The group of people seemed to have found an outlet, and swarmed towards the pig pen where Pei Anzu was imprisoned. Only after arriving did I realize that the person who was supposed to be was now standing there perfectly fine. He didn't look embarrassed at all, and it didn't look like he had been imprisoned all night at all. Wang Jizong and Wang Ping stopped everyone from moving forward, but stood 2 meters away, opposite Pei Anzu. Pei Anzu looked at the faces of these people and asked with a smile. "Everyone, did you sleep well last night?" "It's you," a villager shouted angrily, "it's you who let those female ghosts haunt us. I'll kill you." After saying that, he hit Pei Anzu with a hoe. Pei Anzu remained motionless, looking like she was stunned, but the did not fall on her. Instead, it rubbed her body and hit the ground. In the eyes of everyone, it was because the attacker's hand suddenly slipped and lost his aim, so he missed the hit. The man then attacked several more times. But every time, just when he was about to hit Pei Anzu, the move to another angle. Once or twice it could be said that the hand was slippery, but if it happens like this every time, it is no coincidence. The woman from this city is not simple, she is different from those women in the past. Everyone looked at Pei Anzu, and their eyes were suddenly filled with vigilance. The man who attacked Pei Anzu with a failed many times. Instead, he was so exhausted that he was panting. Finally he reacted, retreated into the crowd, and said, "You are not a human. You are in the same group with those female ghosts, and you are also a female ghost. Otherwise, why would I not be able to hit you?" Pei Anzu looked coldly and sneered. "I said, you will have your retribution. You abducted and lured innocent girls into your village, then imprisoned and tortured them, killing many lives. Now is the time to pay the price." Wang Jizong looked ferocious when he heard this. "Is it just you and a bunch of female ghosts? If those female ghosts were capable, they would have killed us last night. It seems that they can't do anything to me, so they just scare us. As for you, no matter who you are, when you come to our Yao village, if you are a dragon, you will be coiled for me, if you are a tiger, you will be lying down for me." "Really? We have to see if you have what it takes." Pei Anzu smiled, then lowered his head to the miniature camera on his collar. "Officer Du, you can take action." As he finished speaking, a group of policemen suddenly sprang out from around Yao village, all wearing uniforms and holding guns, and surrounded the villagers. The leader was Officer Du. He nodded and said hello to Pei Anzu, "Thank you for your hard work. The evidence is enough." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 129. It is almost not difficult to convict people from Yao village. They live in seclusion in the mountains and are not known to anyone, so they have no worries about anything they do. But whenever the police wander around the village, they will find traces of crime everywhere. The blood stains on the ground, the bones nearby, and the confessions made by villagers during conversations are all irrefutable evidence. Police Officer Du waved to his men. "Arrest them all." "Why are you arresting us?" People in Yao village struggled to resist. "You police officers only bully us people, right? I tell you, there is no way." There was also an elderly man who just lay down on the ground and rolled around. "Oh, I can't live anymore. It's unreasonable. We are all farmers who do our duty. How can we fight against the officials in the city? It's better for me to just hit my head to death than to be arrested and humiliated." For a time, the village was filled with shouts of protest, accusing the police of arresting people indiscriminately and making things difficult for the people. In the cognition of this group of people, I have always been reasonable when I am weak, I am reasonable when I am poor, and I am reasonable when I am old. Usually when they go to other villages, they cry, make trouble, and roll around together. However, in order to avoid trouble and get entangled with them, they can't afford to hide. This makes them think that if they make a fuss like this, the police will give in to them. But they thought wrong. Officer Du sneered at them and said, "You may shout or cry, but I will not let you go even if your throat is broken. We are not afraid of you going out to file complaints." Now the police handle cases with law enforcement cameras and record all the handling of the case in real time. No matter what you say, nothing will change. If you continue to resist, you will be obstructing official duties and assaulting the police. You may be in jail for many years. After Officer Du finished speaking, he ignored them and just asked his men to take everyone away. The entire Kill village is divided into 3 types of people. First, all adult men, led by the village chief, Wang Jizong and Wang Ping, are the masterminds and buyers of this trafficking case, and are the source of the crime. Second, some women who were trafficked and then compromised with reality successfully settled here and gave birth to the children of these beasts. They were victims, but later on, they were also accomplices in the trafficking case. Third, the children who have not yet grown up are excluded from sin and do not understand what is going on in the village, but they are also born with sin. After everyone was taken away, the entire Kill village was completely empty. Except for the occasional crowing of chickens and barking of dogs, there was no sound anymore. Pei Anzu and Officer Du make the final handover. "Please leave a few people for me. I have to dig out the bones of those who died in vain, take them down the mountain, and bury them separately. Then the police will have to work hard to verify their information and notify their surviving family members." Police Officer Du nodded and said, "No problem, I will send someone to them down the mountain, and I will personally lead a small team to collect the bones with you. If you need anything, you can come to me directly. As for the souls of those victims, I'll ask Immortal King Zu to take more care of them." Easy to say, Pei Anzu agreed. Soon, the villagers were taken away, and the remaining people followed Officer Du and Pei Anzu to the back mountain. The roads here are difficult, but to a well-trained police officer, it is nothing. Police Officer Du looked at Pei Anzu, who was walking like flying, and was filled with admiration for a moment. "You are indeed a master." Pei Anzu led them through the dense forests in the mountains, stopping occasionally to ask the police to help dig the soil and dig out the bones inside. In fact, the people in Yao village are not so kind, and they specially bury those girls who died innocently. Every time those girls were tortured to death, they would find 2 people to carry them to the back mountain and throw them down the or cliff. The bodies would fall wherever they rolled. If you are lucky, you can stay where you are with peace of mind, and will be eroded by wind and rain, and corrupted by time. If you are unlucky, you may encounter wild beasts in the mountains and drag the body to different places, with the head in different places and limbs missing. Therefore, these girls do not have a fixed burial place. They all rely on Pei Anzu's human figure to locate where they want to dig, which makes the policeman very tired. "We dug from morning until 11 o'clock at night, and finally found the bones of those who died in vain. However, as time goes by, there are still some bones that are lost in time, either rotting with dead branches or leaves, or being crushed into the belly of wild beasts and disappearing without a trace. Therefore, some people did not even have a whole body." Police officers carried all the victims' bones to the open space in the village and arranged them in rows. The broken bones were gathered together and prepared to be taken to the police station and, with the help of forensic doctors, put them back together into the bodies of their owners. "It's getting late. Let's rest for the night and go down the mountain tomorrow morning," Officer Du ordered his subordinates. They were divided into small teams and took turns to keep vigil next to the corpses, alert to the wild beasts in the mountains, while the rest went to sleep. As for Pei Anzu, he left the team and returned to the mountains. "Those female ghosts are gathering here. In addition to them, there are also some other lonely ghosts in the mountains. Together, they make this place a lot more gloomy." Led by Lu Fang and Chen 11, they led the crowd and knelt down and kowtowed to Pei Anzu. King Zhu, immortal lord, thank you for allowing the police to arrest those beasts and fulfill our wish. You're welcome. Pei Anzu asked them to stand up. No one with a good outlook would stand by and watch this kind of thing. Having said that, the female ghosts all understood that if it was not the master Pei Anzu who came this time, but anyone else, they might not be able to escape the siege of the Yao village people's hoes and shovels. There was silence in the mountains. After a long time, Lu Fang opened his mouth and asked, King Zhu, immortal lord, should we leave? The human world is not a place for ghosts to stay for a long time. They once lingered here because of their strong obsession and unwillingness. Now that their great revenge has been avenged and their wishes are fulfilled, it is time to go to the underworld and reincarnate. Pei Anzu thought for a while and said, there will still be some time before the real revenge is taken, because Wang Chuanzong, the culprit who caused you such harm, has not yet been caught by the law. I will keep you for a while, until Wang Chuanzong is sentenced, and then you can go and be reincarnated without any scruples. Only then can you truly end your mortal bond. I will set up a formation in the mountains. You stay in the formation and meditate according to the formulas I teach you. This will help you to resolve years of grievances and go to the underworld clean. Don't worry, this formation can't hurt you. After Wang Chuanzong is arrested and the formation disappears, there will be evil spirits appearing to guide you. When the female ghosts heard this, they couldn't help crying with joy. In fact, what they fear most is that the culprit will not be judged. They are worried that after they are reincarnated, no one can prove Wang Chuanzong's sins and let him escape. But they were too embarrassed and asked Pei Anzu to continue investigating for them. After all, it was a great kindness for someone to help, and they would not go too far. And now that Pei Anzu took the initiative, how could they not shed tears of gratitude? The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 130. Chapter 130, Do Something for Education in Mountainous Areas. Pei Anzu arranged the formation, and placed a prohibition on each ghost not to do evil, and then he left with peace of mind. Early the next morning, Officer Du and others took the bones down the mountain, while Pei Anzu returned to Yankan. She has not forgotten that she is here for charity. Although she only used selecting a few children to sponsor as an excuse to break into the kill village, after experiencing this incident, Pei Anzu believed that she needed to do something for education in the mountainous area. The poorer the mountainous area, the more backward the education and the more ignorant the thinking. It is precisely because of people's conservativeness and ignorance that the idea that only sons can carry on the family line is deeply ingrained, which resulted in a series of tragedies. The newborn girl was not given a chance to live. She died at the hands of her parents before she could even open her eyes to see the world. Those who survived because they were boys had to be abducted from outside because they lacked the resources of women of the right age to get married when they grew up. Let many flower-like college students be trapped in this sinful mountain for the rest of their lives, reduced to tools for their reproduction, and never end well. Families in the outside world who lost their daughters were also torn apart overnight. But even so, the daughter who was born would still be killed. Over time, a vicious cycle has been formed, causing generations of people in this mountain to wander in this evil for life. They follow the old path left by the previous generation and continue to be domesticated animals. Their only goal in life is to have sons. If no one can break this cage from the outside, then the evil here will continue. Fortunately, Pei Anzu came and she became the one to break the cage. When the people from Yao village were arrested, the police would handle the subsequent matters, and she only needed to contribute within her own capabilities. Pei Anzu walked back to Yankan on the mountain road and happened to see Wang Painter squatting on the ground at the entrance of the village. As soon as he saw her, Wang Painter stood up excitedly and walked towards her. "Sister Pei, you are finally back." Wang Painter's voice alarmed everyone in the village. The villagers in Yan village pulled their children out of their homes and surrounded Pei Anzu. "Oh, good man, you've been gone for 2 days, and we thought you weren't coming back. It's all the fault of the talkative guy next door who went to Yao village to spread the news. If it hadn't been delayed for 2 days, the good person would have already selected the seedlings to support, right? Even if I don't have children at home and want to sell my place, I can't be in such a hurry." The villagers were talking to each other. Pei Anzu was smiling and his eyes fell on a shivering woman. This woman was the one who ran to Yao village overnight to report the news on the first night Pei Anzu came to Yan village. Pei Anzu made it clear when she came that she would only support girls. But this woman knew that there were no girls in Yao village who could live to grow up, yet she still went to report the news all night long. The meaning of this is self-evident. But it doesn't matter, Pei Anzu won't expose her now, because the police have already intervened in the matter, and her good days are coming to an end. Pei Anzu raised his hand to ask everyone to be quiet, and then said, "Don't worry, fellow villagers, since I said I would select a few talented young people and support them in their studies, I will not go back on my word. Before going to Yao village, I asked Panner to help me with the assessment. She must have selected some suitable candidates. Panner, please bring them out." Wang Panner listened to her words, walked to the crowd, and took out those who he thought had reading talents one by one, and brought them to Pei Anzu. There are 3 people in total, all little girls, aged 5, 6 and 7 years old respectively. Wang Panner was afraid that Pei Anzu would think she chose people randomly, so she explained. "Sister Pei, I have taken their exam seriously. They have never read a book before, they don't know the words at all, and they can't come up with questions, so I thought of a way. I spent a day teaching them how to read the initials and finals of Chinese pinyin, and how to recognize numbers from 1 to 20, and then asked them to memorize them or write them on the ground. I will test them again the next afternoon to see who remembers more and remembers it well, so I selected 3 of them. Hanyu pinyin tests the sense of language, and numbers tests the sensitivity to mathematics. Under such limited conditions, it is already very good that Wang Panner can come up with this trick. There are actually not many girls in Yankan, there are only 7 or 8 in total, and they all came to take part in the assessment. But the older children had to help with household chores every day and gave up on memorizing and reading. The younger children really couldn't remember it either, so in the end only 3 were selected. You did a good job, Pei Anzu praised Wang Panner generously, and then faced the villagers. Are the parents of these 3 little girls here? At this time, several couples walked out of the crowd and greeted Pei Anzu awkwardly, with a little flattery on their faces. Pei Anzu first asked the names of several girls and learned that their names were Li Panner, Wang Zayadai, and Wang Sir. These identical names that represent preferring boys over girls made Pei Anzu sigh inwardly, and then said, "The 3 of them are the ones I am determined to support this time. Just like the Song family funded Wang Panner, I will sign up for them in a suitable school, pay them every year tuition, book fees, and living expenses. The requirement is that you must not prevent them from interrupting their studies for any reason." One of the parents asked. "Then let them study and get money from home." Aunt Li, scholarships can only be obtained by studying well. Wang Panner took the initiative to explain, and they are too young, so they will not get scholarships unless they pass the key junior high school or high school. Several parents looked at each other and felt that this was a relatively good deal. Girls are too young and can't do much work at home. It's better to send them out to study, since they don't need to spend money anyway. More importantly, when they get to junior high school and high school, they can also get scholarships from home. This is real money, isn't it? More real than anything else? As for the disadvantage, it is nothing more than sending away a future labor force. The work at home is not too much, so the remaining people can just share more. After thinking about it, everyone agreed that Pei Anzu should take the 3 of them away. The remaining girls who were not chosen, as well as some parents of boys, All had envious expressions on their faces, as if they were hesitant to speak. Pei Anzu knew what they wanted to say, but she ignored them. The purpose of her trip was just to ignite a spark in the hearts of these people and let them understand that girls are no different from boys. As for what happens next, she already has other plans. The parents of the three little girls helped them pack some changes of clothes and asked them to follow Pei Anzu. Leaving Yankan and coming to the town, the three little girls seemed to have opened the door to a new world. Mao County is not prosperous, but it is enough to open the eyes of three girls who have never left home. In their eyes, there is exploration and desire for the outside world. Pei Anzu had little experience in handling funding matters, but the Song family did. She originally wanted to contact Song Suero and use the Song family's connections to complete the matter. But she forgot that there was a caring errand boy beside her, Wang Kui. This person sent by the Qin family to be her driver and bodyguard upholds his respect for the master and his loyalty to his employer, and takes everything about her at heart. So, when he learned that she wanted to support her three children, Wang Kui immediately agreed. Leave it to me. Wang Kui is worthy of being a person trained by the Qin family. He is very efficient in doing things. He used the contacts that should be used. In less than one afternoon, he managed the enrollment of three little girls. Although the three of them are of different ages, they have no previous learning foundation, so they can only start from preschool to lay the foundation. Wang Kui found the best local preschool and a reliable live-in nanny. He rented a house near the preschool and asked the nanny to take care of the three little girls. He also left the nanny's contact information and said that he would transfer money to the children regularly every month for living expenses. Pei Anzu couldn't help but sigh. It was really good to have an assistant. She didn't have to worry about anything. She only needed to give instructions and everything was done. But she is not really just a hands-off shopkeeper. She went to the preschool in person to see that the teachers there were good and the live-in nanny was also a loyal and honest person, so she felt relieved. After finishing, Pei Anzu's trip in Panjin came to an end. She finally treated Wang Pan'er and Song Suero to a meal and said goodbye to them. Pan'er, you have a tenacious mind and a strong heart. Everything that cannot destroy you will become the driving force to urge you forward. Remember to never forget your original intention and be kind to the end. After this calamity, everything you want can come true, all wishes come true. Suero, you are kind-hearted, optimistic, and cheerful. You always look at the world with the best kindness and are willing to lend a helping hand to your friends who are in trouble. In addition, your family has a pure family tradition and blessings, and your life will go smoothly. The two girls were so embarrassed by Pei Anzu's praise that their faces turned red. Song Suero mustered up her courage and asked. Sister Pei, can I add your personal contact information? Can we contact you often in the future? Pei Anzu took out his mobile phone and clicked on the WeChat QR code. Of course, I may have to rely on you to introduce business to me in the future. She joked, making both girls laugh. Wang Pan'er didn't have a mobile phone, so she didn't add WeChat, but she also agreed that she could contact Pei Anzu through Song Suero in the future. After this meal, Pei Anzu left Panjin and returned to Yunqing. But she didn't know that after Song Suero and Wang Pan'er found out that she lived in Yunqing, they worked hard to get into Yunqing's university. They worked harder than before. Pei Anzu asked Wang Kui to send her back to Baikahu community, and then asked him to return to the Qin family to recover. This time she went to Panjin and used the Qin family's connections. This kindness must be recorded and returned to the Qin family when the time is right. Thinking about this, she clicked on the Dolphin live broadcast platform and read the private messages in the background. Since she turned off the live broadcast, many viewers have come to ask her what happened next and how she solved it. In response to this question, she did not reply one by one. Instead, she posted an update on Weibo belonging to King Zhou Fairy Lord. For the follow-up to the Panchanj female high school student jumping off building incident, please follow at Panchanj Police Station V for details. End of this chapter.